I'm Kieran Poole, and welcome to the third and final part of episode 3 of the Almost Art original series, Interpretation. In this episode, we gave a group of dancers just 1 hour to choreograph and perform a dance inspired by non-musical audio given to them on the day they came. This segment featured Jade, choreographing herself in a solo performance. If you would like to see more of her work, follow the links below. Jade.
Hi.
What was your initial reaction when you first heard that piece of audio?
It's interesting because a lot of the stuff I usually work with is a lot more commercial. So the first thing was, how on earth am I going to figure out the timing? There's no beats. So I had to listen to it quite a few times to kind of work out where and trying to get the feel for it, because there's no way to count if you want to move on that noise and then on that noise. There's space and a very low noise in between. So I was trying to get musicality into my head before I could get into my body. Was a bit of a challenge with that one, because you really had to listen rather than just go, all right, every second 8, that will happen. So that was my first instinct, that it's very abstract, it's going to take a while to get the musicality into my body. The beats that came in, when they did come in, they gave me a bit of a feeling, well, there were a couple of feelings. One was quite an aggressive, animalistic, almost tribal feel, and it kind of brought sort of a very much a kind of aggressive hip-hop kind of crump feel to mind, because of the way the beats were towards each other. That kind of beat did make me think something quite tribal, quite aggressive, and therefore that's why that came out in that bit, and particularly that bit more so than other sections.
Obviously you had a time constraint doing this. Would you have done it any differently if you had a longer period?
I probably would have done it, filmed it, slept on it, woken up, gone back, and then done a few little tweaks once I'd kind of sat with it for a while, see how it felt. And obviously if I was working with a team of people, maybe try it out on them and try a few different things to see if, when it flowed on other people, how it worked and how it worked as a group and that kind of dynamics.
How did you assign, you talk about the beat, so how did you assign particular moves and things you did to such an ultimately abstract piece?
I try to find, and the same goes with anything I work with, the first thing I look at is the vibe that the piece of music gives me. So from the start, there's quite the whooshing sounds, I can't think of any better way to put it than the whooshing sound, have a kind of aquatic vibe to me, which is why there was quite a lot of watery things in the beginning. And it also, because it started out quite quiet and built, it was almost like something growing, like with seed plant out of the ground, and something becoming and getting bigger, which is why I wanted to start small and slowly build it up. And then, because it did the same on the other way, it was kind of a bit of a cycle of life thing, so that's why I reversed the process towards the end and kind of brought it back to the quiet place that it started.
And has it changed your view on inspiration?
It's kind of made me think outside the box a little bit, because as I say, this is quite an abstract piece that I haven't worked with for a very long time and probably wouldn't particularly seek out just because my client base isn't really down that route. But having done it, I really enjoyed it and would be something I'd consider throwing into my repertoire again, certainly.
And interpretation as well. What do you think? Has it changed your view on that as well?
I mean, I just went through the same process I always went through, but it's got a nice twist on it when it's abstract. It's a bit more, I suppose, you're a bit more out in the ocean, no another sea plant reference there. Whereas sometimes it's a little easier to grab onto an idea if the piece is a bit more sort of less abstract, a bit more commercial, and obviously if it's just a booking, you've been given quite a solid brief, you've only got that way you can go, whereas this is kind of like the whole world is your oyster again, I can't stop with the sea gags. And you just got a bigger route, so it makes you think a little bit bigger and wider than perhaps you might normally, which then you can bring back and put in your secluded briefs that you've kind of gone there, and you can take something a bit more imaginative back to where you started.
Well, thank you very much for coming on, Jade.
No worries, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers.
Thanks.
So that was Julie Jade. What a phenomenal performance. If you would like to see more of her, click the links below. Also, don't forget to check out the other participants of this experiment and last month's experiment if you haven't yet.